are everywhere. All right, this video right here, you know what to do when we react. Go to the link, click the like button. This is what we watch, how Warcraft 3 became the most influential RTS ever made, a documentary.
Only a handful of games have left a mark on the gaming world, quite like Warcraft 3: Reign of Chaos. A game celebrated not just for its own achievements, but also for laying the groundwork for one of the most successful video games of all time, World of Warcraft. But that wasn't the only game it gave birth to. In fact, many others would follow suit and become some of the world's most popular esports games ever.
But before we dive into that complete history of Warcraft 3, we do have to thank this video's sponsor, Unicorn Overlord. Don't let the name fool you. This game is not some fairy goody two-shoes adventure. It is a classic, heroic fantasy RPG that pays homage to the 16 and 32-bit strategy RPGs of the past with these gorgeous 2D aesthetics. The game is launching on March the 8th, everybody, for the Nintendo Switch, the Xbox, the PS5, and the PS4. And if you want to check it out today, there's a demo for it linked down below in the description. This is a game where you will build your own army with up to 60 unique
9 months ago. You can check it out
before traversing this massive, fully explorable world. Grow in your renown, gather new allies, materials, reclaim or rebuild towns, engage in quests, and a whole lot more. Best of all, Unicorn Overlord is a game full of items and weapons to be collected and customized. Unique real-time battles with strategic party compositions, multiple classes and races with different synergies and relationships for offense or defense, different skills to complement squads. This is an absolutely massive RPG, and if you want to check it out, it is linked down below in the description. You can play a demo for it right now. March the 8th is the release day. Guys, check out Unicorn Overlord if you're ready for a new adventure.
By the way, I think it's nice etiquette if you react to a video to let the sponsor videos play. Whether that's old news now or not, but I think it's just, you know, nice.
Crafted by the visionary minds at Blizzard Entertainment, Warcraft 3 was more than a mere addition to the gaming library. It was a bold revolution in the real-time strategy genre. Its impact resonated through the gaming world, setting new standards and expectations for what an RTS game could be. But to truly appreciate the legacy of Warcraft 3, we must journey back to its roots, to the early days of the Warcraft series and the rise of the RTS genre. A time when Blizzard Entertainment was carving out its reputation in the gaming industry.
Should have waited 7 months for the remaster to put the videos in.
In its humble beginnings. The story of Warcraft and its colossal impact on the gaming world begins with the early iterations of the series, which played a pivotal role in shaping the real-time strategy genre. The RTS genre, a blend of strategic planning, resource management, and real-time action.
Holy shit, I haven't seen an Age of Empires 1 screen.
Strategic planning, resource...
In so... That's Age of Empires 1, right? Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah, this is how it looked back in the day. Oh yeah, iconic map display. Oh man. The Artifact Town Center. Yeah, I played this.
Management and real-time action was in it.
Freaking Red Alert, man. I'm glad he... This is Red Alert. Yeah. I'm glad he uses Red Alert. Red Alert, man. It's just, it's the better first generation Command and Conquer.
Its early stages when the first Warcraft game emerged. This genre, evolving from the mid-1980s, was marked by titles like Herzog Zwei, Dune 2, and Command and Conquer. which laid the groundwork for what RTS would become. Each game in the genre pushed the boundaries of what was possible, both.
What is Herzog 2? I've never heard of that.
In terms of gameplay mechanics and narrative depth. But around the same time, a game would come along that would ignite a completely different level of strategy gaming. It all started with the first iteration.
Welcome to the world of Warcraft.
The way they did the sound, right, has become so iconic. One could think it's just cheap nowadays. Or cringe, to use a buzzword. But no, it's epic, man. With the little tools they had and the little disk space they had. Herzog 2 is an RTS which Dune 2 heavily took inspiration from. It's not exactly how you'd imagine RTS though. Crazy. I never heard about that game. And why is it a strategy game without turn-based was novel back then? I see. Why is it that the pioneers of RTS both have a 2 in the name? Or a lot of a 2 in the name. Herzog 2, Dune 2. Was there Herzog 1? And was there Dune 1?
In the wake of the success of Dune 2 and Herzog 2, Blizzard Entertainment noted a surprising absence of RTS games in the market during 1993 and early 1994. Seizing the opportunity presented by this temporary hiatus in RTS releases, Blizzard started the creation of Warcraft, Orcs and Humans. It was released in North
Dune 1 was RPG. I see. Point and click adventure.
America on the 15th of November 1994. Within a year of its launch, the game achieved a remarkable milestone, surpassing sales of 100,000 units. Its popularity continued to soar, eventually reaching 300,000 copies sold.
Wow.
Thanks to its widespread
Dude, in comparison to now, obviously tiny, but 300,000 gamers back then. That's basically everyone.
appeal, the game had secured the 19th spot in the top 20 CD rankings across all categories. But what was it that made Warcraft such a hit? Warcraft distinguished itself with its innovative gameplay and storytelling right from the beginning. As players first stepped into the mystical land of Azeroth, they found themselves in the midst of an epic conflict between noble humans and the fierce orcs. This
tale as old as time, right? Very relatable. Elements from Lord of the Rings and Warhammer, of course. But new RTS should take notes. Times obviously changed. And some things are more important than they were back then, especially multiplayer. But you still gotta catch the people for a franchise with charm. And story. And setting.
rich fantasy setting was more than just a backdrop. It was a world teeming with lore and character, captivating players with its depth. With the RTS genre on the rise, Warcraft offered a refined, dynamic experience. It skillfully blended elements of resource management, base building, and unit control, all unfolding in real time. It was a significant shift from the turn-based strategy games that dominated the era, offering players a new level of engagement and immediacy.
Holy shit, Civilization 1. That was my first PC game I ever played. Next to like Minesweeper. No. Was there Minesweeper already? Like Asteroids and stuff. This is how I started playing PC games. And I told the story a couple of times. I played this on my dad's PC. And it was all black and white. And I thought, okay, technology isn't there yet. Computer games are just black and white. 2 years later, turns out his monitor was broken and there were these colors all along. I just never saw them.
Players a new level of
Holy shit, that Settlers icon. I love everything about it. There you go. That Settlers icon looks like a laughing Monchichi. Laughing punk Monchichi. I don't know how this is a settler, but I don't care. It's amazing.
Engagement and immediacy. It also added the multiplayer option, which, at the time, started to see traction amongst the gaming community. While Warcraft Orcs and Humans wasn't the first game that offered multiplayer gameplay in the RTS genre, it played a pivotal role in convincing a broader audience of multiplayer features in future RTS titles. The immersive experience was further improved by a variety of audio cues and voice acting, which were relatively rare in games at the time.
Rah, rah, rah.
Following the success of Warcraft I, Warcraft II was released in 1995 and built upon the foundation of the original, improving almost every aspect of the game. The most striking difference was in the visuals. Where Warcraft Orcs and Humans had simpler graphics, Warcraft II Tides of Darkness featured more detailed and vibrant art, bringing the world of Azeroth to life with greater clarity and color. The sequel also expanded the gameplay mechanics.
It's really cool, because if you look at the box, it's the box art, right? Wait, this.
Success of Warcraft I, Warcraft
This is
II
not very
was
charming. I'm pretty sure this was just the time for a look like this, like trying to be realistic. With the 3D models they then had, like the super simplified 3D models. But then you look in-game, and it's still the comic look. It's so cute, it's so charming, it's so vibrant, so colorful. Thankfully, they didn't try to go for a realistic look in the game itself.
The sequel also expanded the gameplay mechanics significantly. While the original Warcraft laid the groundwork with basic resource gathering and unit management, Warcraft II introduced more varied units, including naval forces, adding a new strategic dimension to battles. This expansion of military options allowed for more complex and different strategies, deepening the gameplay experience. Another key improvement was in the game's storytelling and world building. Warcraft II offered a more immersive story, with each campaign mission accompanied by detailed briefings and story elements, enriching the lore of Azeroth. It builds upon the original lore in Warcraft Orcs and Humans, where the first war resulted in the fall of Azeroth, leading the survivors to flee to the human kingdom of Lordaeron. This sets the stage for the second war, which is told in Warcraft II, where the Orcs, now aiming to conquer Lordaeron, face off against the humans and their allies. Thanks to these improvements, Warcraft II hit the milestone of 500,000 units sold within just 3 months of its release. By November, this figure had more than doubled, surpassing 1.2 million units.
That is crazy.
Even with all the success, the best of Warcraft was yet to come. After the success of Warcraft II, Blizzard initially set its sights on expanding the Warcraft story through a point-and-click adventure game titled Warcraft Adventures, Lord of the Clans. This game was envisioned to chronicle Thrall's journey, from his upbringing in captivity to his eventual rise as the leader of his clan. However, in a move reflecting the company's commitment to quality, Blizzard cancelled Lord of the Clans in 1998, citing that it did not meet their standards.
I'm fairly sure there's a Warcraft 3 custom campaign with this story out now. People can probably tell me, but it's kind of smart thinking to branch out. I don't know if they were thinking in franchises yet at the time, but it's kind of smart to not only grab the strategy players, but then go to the point and click, which point and click was huge in the 90s. Remember Myst? And I mean, all the other games, Monkey Island, etc., etc. So yeah, why not?
But, luckily for us, Fro's story would not go untold. Instead, it would be seamlessly integrated into the development of Warcraft 3, which started in early 1998. The development of Warcraft 3 marked a significant shift from its prequels. For the first time in the series, the game was rendered in 3 dimensions, a technical leap that brought the world of Azeroth to life with unprecedented detail and depth. This transition...
The progress gaming made, right? In those years. At this stage, we already have Zelda Ocarina of Time, Mario 64, or 98? Roundabout, right? 98, 99? I think you can see similarities between Ocarina of Time and Warcraft, stylistically.
To 3D was a monumental task, requiring the team to rethink and redesign every aspect of the game's visual and gameplay mechanics. Notably, every character in the game, even the environmental units like sheep, featured animated 3D portraits that came to life during dialogue.
I want to remind everybody that nowadays RTS that are coming out, or will be coming out, or already out, whatever it is, said it's too complicated to make the animated portraits. And they did that in 1998 for a sheep.
Initially, the game was envisioned as a different strategy game, tentatively named Warcraft Legends. This early concept was characterized by a limited number of units under the player's command, and
I did not know this, that it was called Warcraft Legends. I do remember these stills. So it was very, very, very hero heavy. It was almost an RPG. Kind of was an RPG at first.
Over-the-shoulder camera perspective, and notably, no base building. However, after a year of development, the team found that this approach wasn't panning out as hoped. Adapting to the challenge, Blizzard repurposed the existing framework, ultimately transforming it into Warcraft 3: Reign of Chaos. But
it is interesting, if you look at the UI, it's incredibly minimalistic. There's basically nothing. This is a full screen, right? You only have your 2 heroes here, and even the later iteration, you have your army here. And probably resources, it's really hard to read. So they make the step from these mega minimalistic UI to basically 1/3 of the screen as it was in StarCraft. I wonder if they run out of time, or if they thought it doesn't fit and it's not explanatory enough, or a minimalistic UI approach is pretty good for the time, I think.
panning out as hoped. Adapting to the challenge, Blizzard repurposed the existing framework, ultimately transforming it into Warcraft 3: Reign of Chaos.
You need more stuff on screen for an RTS? Do you, though? Battle Aces doesn't have that. I don't know, you could argue you don't need command buttons if the control is intuitive. But, I mean, we don't know too much about the alpha, right? So I don't know how hero heavy it really was.
But would it pay off? Central to the success of prior Warcraft games was rich lore and character development. In order to achieve the same level of success for Warcraft 3, transitioning to 3D was not enough. Neither was the same.
Back in the day, people still got used to mouse right click. That's a point. That's indeed a point. But you never know how far they wanted to take this.
Same level of storytelling, as competitors, like Westwood Studios, who made games like Command & Conquer, were constantly improving on their games. So, Warcraft 3 introduced players to a new story complexity by creating 2 new playable factions, the Night Elves and the Undead, each with their unique units, structures, and gameplay styles. This expanded the strategic possibilities and added a fresh dynamic to the Warcraft universe.
It's kind of crazy thinking they wanted to introduce 16 races. That's maybe a bit ambitious. But yeah, I think faction design, like we always talk about modability and characters and cinematics and hero concept, but faction design is so good.
Fusion of heroes, powerful units with unique abilities, and the potential to turn the tide of battle added an RPG element to the RTS foundation. Add in the story of the Burning Legion's attempt to conquer Azeroth and the undead army led by the fallen paladin Arthas Menethil, and you have a narrative that was more than just a backdrop for the gameplay. But what made Warcraft 3 truly stand out was the move away from the mission briefings to...
Yeah, that we now, like, we played Red Alert, right? The past couple of days. It is incredibly black and white. Here are the good guys, here are the bad guys, build your base, good guy, crush the bad guy, alright, there we go. You can sympathize with a lot of these characters because they have these movie segments in between, right? So that is super cool and has its very own charm. But having an RTS with so much storytelling that the hero kills his father, turning evil at the end of the first quarter. That was just freaking genius.
Narrating its story through in-game cutscenes.
And also fitting for the time because everybody wanted to be a little more edgy around 2000, right? The D-Generation X kind of lifestyle. And then, of course, murdering your father, fitting.
In the game's 3D engine and employing side-view camera angles for a more immersive experience. If there's anything a gamer loves, it's a cutscene that immerses them in a story, or being able to teabag an opponent. It was easy to see that the design choices in Warcraft 3 were bold and innovative, setting new standards for the genre. But only once the game was released would they know whether or not the fans agreed with their choices. After several years of anticipation, in July 2002, the gaming world braced itself for the arrival of Warcraft 3: Reign of Chaos, a title that was not just eagerly awaited, but destined to redefine... It's holy. But
It
destined
is holy.
to
It's the
redefine
holy
the
game.
RTS genre. And when the game finally hit the shelves, it did not disappoint. The initial reception was overwhelmingly positive, with both players and critics praising its innovative gameplay, immersive storytelling, and stunning 3D graphics. Commercially, it shipped 4.4 million copies to retail stores, selling over 1 million within a month. This commercial success proved the game's appeal and Blizzard Entertainment's reputation for quality game development. But the game's impact was just in its beginnings, and the success it received was due to several factors. Critically, it was praised for its presentation and multiplayer features. The game's narrative depth, with its rich lore and compelling characters, offered a storytelling caliber that was unprecedented in RTS games. But what truly set it apart and launched it to legendary status were the new gameplay features, many of which would go on to become a staple in esports. For example, the game also had a new approach to resource management, particularly through its innovative upkeep system, which challenged players to strategically balance unit composition and resource allocation. Adding to this depth.
So, if we can believe rumors and hindsight talking, etc., they just put it in because the PCs at the time were not strong enough to display so many units. And so they wanted to keep the unit number slow to not burn out PCs. I still think it's freaking genius and one of the best comeback mechanics there is in RTS. A lot of people hate it. I love it. It makes so much sense.
Were the various factions and hero units with unique abilities, infusing variety and a new level of strategy into the gameplay. These hero units, evolving and gaining new abilities, introduced RPG elements into the RTS genre, offering players new ways to outmaneuver their opponents. Warcraft III also set new standards in online competitive play with its
Reforged
advanced
menu.
multiplayer features, including anonymous matchmaking and arranged team games. This feature is now a cornerstone in many of the most popular esports games. But perhaps the most significant legacy of Warcraft 3 was its world editor,
Here we
which
go.
enabled the creation of custom game modes. This powerful tool allowed modders to radically transform the game, enabling them to alter nearly every aspect and
Element
create new
TV.
maps that diverge significantly from the original content. Remarkably, despite its comprehensive features, the world editor was designed with accessibility in mind, making it user-friendly.
I don't know anything about editors, but was there anything comparable in the gaming world? I know StarCraft had an editor. I'm pretty sure you can do Command and Conquer maps, but I was completely out of the loop. So yeah, I think in StarCraft only, Unreal editor. True, that was a thing. That was a thing, true. Weaker attempts?
Friendly even for those without any coding experience. This ease of use democratized game design, allowing a broader range of players to craft and share their unique visions for the game. Then, the integration of Battle.net played a crucial role in amplifying the popularity of these custom maps. Through this platform, players could easily share their creations, contributing to a vibrant community of custom content. This platform eventually
Do you think this was planned? Do you think they realized what a gem this editor and Battle.net combo is? I don't think anybody could have known the impact of World Editor.
led to iconic mods like Defense of the Ancients, also known as Dota, and which eventually led to League of Legends, laying the groundwork for the MOBA genre that now dominates the esports scene. This user-generated content not only extended the game's lifespan, but also highlighted the potential of community involvement in game development. Warcraft III was more than just a commercial success. It was a visionary game that reshaped the landscape of competitive gaming. Its innovative features fostered a new level of strategic depth and player engagement, paving the way for the rise of esports and influencing the design of future competitive titles. But it wasn't done there. Warcraft 3 would also be the foundation upon which the world of Warcraft would be built. Nearly 2 decades since its debut, no other title has yet to rival World of Warcraft's reign as the undisputed leader in the MMORPG genre.
So many
This
tried.
transition from a celebrated RTS to the most successful, massively multiplayer online role-playing game marked a pivotal moment in gaming history.
What, like, since he's done with Warcraft 3, what a perfect storm this was. You got an established franchise, which makes it easier to ship a new game, right? Because people knew that Warcraft 1 and 2 were quality already. They know that Blizzard, since StarCraft and Diablo, is known for quality. So they don't have to attract the audience at first. The audience is already there. You have an established franchise with the story that you can expand on, which makes it easier for the people to identify with the setting. And then you come up with one of the greatest stories in RTS ever. You come up with a completely new hero element that mixes RTS, which was kind of hype around the 2000s, with RPG, which was also kind of hype around that time. And then you come up with the concept of like the idea of user-generated content. This is perfect. And you have the best cinematics in the game. And you still treat the product with so much love that you have these iconic Easter eggs that just makes you feel in love with the game. For example, clicking 100 times on the chicken lets the chicken explode. Or the voice lines that have now become standard, right? But back in the day, it was a Blizzard thing that make Blizzard games very, very special. So crazy. Crazy what a perfect storm this was. At the perfect time when everybody was still hungry for RTS.
World of Warcraft took the rich lore, expansive world.
Plus, this was one of the first 3D RTS. It was definitely the first 3D RTS of Blizzard, right? And they didn't fumble it with an art style that nobody loves, which is kind of easy if you go from the style of Warcraft 2 to the new technology. A lot of people failed in the transition. But the art style still holds up 20 years later, which is insane. Like, how many games of that time look like shit nowadays? They just knew. Or were insanely lucky. Did I miss anything? Also thinking that the editor needs to be made user-friendly. If I remember correctly, 2000s, not necessarily the time to make things user-friendly. That was rather when Apple had more of an impact later on.
An intricate storytelling introduced in Warcraft 3 and transformed it into an immersive, living world where players could create their own stories. Set in the Warcraft universe, WoW expanded on the story laid out in Warcraft 3. Taking place approximately 4 years after the events of that game. This continuity provided a familiar yet infinitely expanded playground for the fans of the series. The appeal of the MMORPG genre, with its open worlds, deep character customization...
A little bit of in-between. It's also crazy that they were able to follow up Reign of Chaos with this immense story and product with Frozen Throne 1 year later, when the game was still hot. I mean, nowadays, kind of like, yeah, you get a DLC, but back then, it wasn't that common with all that content and so many new campaign chapters. Plus, the little bit of a pivot with the Rexxar campaign that, you know, how many campaigns in an add-on are as iconic as the Rexxar campaign? I mean, there's some funny gimmicks, like the ants in Command & Conquer, but I don't remember a single add-on Command & Conquer story. Maybe Yuri's Revenge is the most iconic of all of them, but even then, it pales in comparison to Rexxar. And then they take the Rexxar campaign with the RPG elements and double, triple, quadruple down and make World of Warcraft. Amazing.
And the ability to interact with thousands of other players was perfectly captured in WoW. The game offered an unparalleled level of immersion and community engagement. Players could explore the vast world of Azeroth, embark on quests, join forces in raids, engage in player versus player combat, or simply enjoy the rich lore and environment. As a result of these innovations, the success of World of Warcraft was monumental. Since its release in 2004, the game has seen millions of subscriptions, with over 100 million accounts created and a peak of 12 million active subscribers. Its financial success was equally impressive, grossing roughly $1 billion per year.
And
WoW
the beginning
became
of the
more
end.
than just a game, it was a cultural phenomenon. influencing
Dude, do
not
you
just the
freaking
game.
remember that Mr. T and Kirk were in World of Warcraft commercials?
Gaming industry, but pop culture as a whole. Blizzard's strategy in growing WoW's network was key to its success. The game's subscription model, combined with the option to play for free
And
up to a
Aussie.
certain level, lowered the barriers to entry, attracting a huge player base. In addition,
And this was kind of like, once again, correct me if I'm wrong, but subscription models back then, not a thing. I never played WoW because of it.
Blizzard's continuous updates, expansions,
Was
and improvements
risky.
have kept the game fresh and engaging, ensuring that both new and veteran players always have something to look forward to. This is further supported by the fact that in 2023, there are a total of 5.6 million active players. Not bad for a game that was released in 2004.
Ultima Online had subscriptions? Alright.
Now, ever since the initial release of Warcraft III Reign of Chaos, many things have changed. Many new games have come and gone, capturing the imagination of gamers worldwide. Graphics and gameplay have improved in these new games, but none have had the same level of impact as Warcraft III.
Yep.
The fact that it is still being played and laid the foundation for so many games that, to this day,
Thank
are
you, Mapo.
played by masses just goes to show how insane of an effect it had. So, it makes sense why the next step for Blizzard during 2018
Oh no,
was
don't.
to try and modernize it.
Let's
In an-
just end on this note, I guess. Let's just, it's such a nice video. Positive tone and all. Here comes, okay, I mean, we've talked about it a million times.
Attempt to bring back some nostalgia, Blizzard set out on an ambitious project to remaster the beloved 2002 classic. However, the release of Reforged in January 2020 quickly turned from a moment of nostalgic celebration to one of widespread disappointment and controversy. The issues with
I think you gotta include the shift in companies and the takeover of Activision in between the two chapters. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense how we got from beloved WoW to Reforged. Like,
Reforged were plenty. Firstly, fans were upset about the outdated gameplay footage and the significant disparity between the promotional material and the actual game. Expectations were set high by Blizzard's initial announcements, which promised enhanced graphics, revamped cutscenes, and improved gameplay. However, the final product fell short of delivering these upgrades. The cutscenes, in particular, lacked the cinematic depth and quality that was showcased during the game's promotion. Another major point of contention was the game's end-user license agreement, which was seen as overly restrictive, especially regarding player-created content. This was a significant blow to the Warcraft III community, known for its vibrant modding scene. Under the new EULA, all custom games created in Reforged belonged to Blizzard, a policy shift that felt particularly exploitative given the original game's history and the community's contribution to its longevity.
so to add to that here, oh my god, it's Anaheim. Fuck. To add to that here, they implemented it, of course, because of the success of Dota and League of Legends. And it was their own fault because they could have had Dota, as IceFrog tried to give it to them, but they didn't take it because they didn't see it. And apparently I'm in the video if you play the sound clip.
Furthermore, Reforged was riddled with technical issues, including bugs, performance problems, and missing features that were part of the original game. This led to a backlash from the community, with players voicing their frustrations on various platforms and many requesting refunds. Blizzard's response to the controversy did little to soften the fans' disappointment. While the company acknowledged some of the issues and promised fixes, many players felt that the response fell short and did not fully address the core concerns. This situation not only tarnished the legacy of Warcraft 3, but also impacted Blizzard's reputation, with fans questioning the company's commitment to its community and its legacy titles. That being said, even with Blizzard's recent letdowns, we can still look back at the original Warcraft 3 and see why it had such a huge impact on gaming. Without it, the gaming scene would not have been the same. Even years after its release, Warcraft 3 continues to be celebrated for its strategic complexity, compelling lore, and the way it revolutionized the gaming landscape. Not only did this game go on to foster World of Warcraft, but it also heavily influenced the creation of the MOBA genre, one of the most popular gaming genres today. The game's ongoing popularity is sustained not just by its original brilliance, but also by the passionate updates from its fanbase. The modding community in particular has played a crucial role in keeping Warcraft 3 alive and relevant, creating new content and experiences that have extended the game's life far beyond its initial release. This community-driven approach to game preservation is a shining example of how a game can evolve and thrive through the dedication and creativity of its players. If this story captivated you and you're eager to continue exploring the vast realms of Azeroth and beyond, be sure to check out our other videos. Just like the finest goods in Azeroth's bustling markets, our stories are crafted with the utmost care and quality. Until next time.
So what he's saying is, give source code, Blizzard. What a wonderful recap for a wonderful game. Thank you very much for your work. A couple of elements missing, but I don't think you wanted to go too long. And for a 25-minute video, there was a lot of stuff in. And he covered a lot of ground. Otherwise, you easily go over like 90 minutes if you want to do the full context.